there's all these resources where you can celebrate local, and I think that's something to take advantage of and not be fearful of.
I think this is nothing new. And I think that people have always looked to other people for recommendations and referrals. Like if I ate at Fatty Crab the other night, which is awesome. And I posted it on Facebook and I told everybody, if you're ever in New York, go to Fatty Crab. It's awesome. And I get my jollies by letting people I know about really cool stuff. Because there's nothing worse when you travel and you go to a city and you have a meal that sucks. Like I had last night at a place down the street. And so this is all that same stuff. And it's just recommendation. You're an authority. You're an expert in your space. If you're not, find something else to do where you are an expert. And really leverage all of that information. And about negativity and negative comments and that kind of stuff. My mother used to tell me, come and cry to me when they stop talking about you. And, it's all exposure. It's people talking about you. It's generating interest. I mean, if there's no one talking, then maybe it's not that interesting. So, and try it. Just try it. Like I was talking about earlier, make a plan, make it a 3-month plan, stick to it and see what happens. And then, make some adjustments and figure out something that works for you on a daily basis.
So in the nature of practical advice, this may be somewhat controversial, I don't know, but if you're gonna have any sort of a social media marketing, social media practice of any kind, it has to start with some sort of a blog. Whether that's an audio blog, otherwise known as podcast, video blog, a written blog, it has to start with something like that. The reason is, Twitter is only 140 characters. You're not showing up a heck of a lot of expertise in 140 characters. Can't happen. Facebook, I guess you could try doing it on Facebook, but then to me, Facebook just becomes a blogging platform. In other words, there has to be some place where you can showcase your knowledge and your expertise that you guys are talking about, and then use the rest of the social media to drive people to that. So this is not like a real high-level theoretical stuff, which I can get into if you guys want. But just practically speaking, if you're going to do social media marketing, especially as a real estate professional, you have to have some place where consumers can come and see that you do know what you're talking about. And if you don't, like Rick said, please get out, because there are a lot of people who would appreciate that.
So I was actually going to open it up for questions right now, but one thing that just came up that I want to bring up is relinquishing that control. And people are so scared to get rid of their privacy, saying where they are every 5 minutes or letting people see their personal Facebook profiles. What advice do you have about that issue?
Well, my view is, anything that I do, sort of my personal test is anything that I do on social media, social network would be the same as if I were to do it with a group of people that I sort of know. I don't bare my personal soul online. I certainly voice opinions, but I try to keep it fairly neutral, and I stick to my expertise and some quirky things that I think are pretty cool. And that's really the extent of it. I want to share, but not share 100%. And that's my privacy. And it's certainly a lot more than people that are afraid of this medium would do, but it's not all the way. I don't know how I could do that.
And I don't put photos of me or my wife in our pajamas on Facebook. Pretty much the same thing that Jonathan's talking about. I find particularly Facebook, because it does give an intimate picture of my life. It gives, if you go onto my Facebook page, which is public, you can see my kids. You can see video of my son's swim team. You can see all of this stuff. And I can't show you that stuff unless you come to my Facebook page. Like, if I meet you in a bar and I'm talking to you about real estate after, an hour, you have no idea about my kid on the swim team, and there's no ability for us to connect on a different level when we're just talking about real estate. I feel like Facebook makes me more human to the people that are connected to me on there. And then when I as I was telling Ali earlier, my Facebook all of my Facebook updates aggregate over to Twitter. So anybody who's following me on Twitter is also seeing I just posted something, and they can click on the tiny URL and see, my son kick ass in his swimming. He's really good and he's 7. But anyway.
I think one thing to do is to definitely decide up front how you plan on using each service. Twitter specifically, with Welcome Mat, we use it for business strictly, so it's just PR. My own Twitter tweets are personal, so I'm pretty flexible. Like I said, I'll check in places sometimes in restaurants, and I checked in here tonight. My wife's actually asked me to stop doing that, but it's more personal, so I'm more open to that side of things. Facebook, there's some back and forth on this. I'm actually not a big fan of Facebook for business. I don't like it. I feel like I'm being. Doug, you brought up a good point. Facebook sort of is far more personal, and you're learning more about that person's life on the personal side, not their business. And when someone starts shocking something online, trying to sell me something, it's just a turn off. Or I get a lot of invite. I guess for events it's okay, but definitely decide how you want to use each medium. Blogging, of course, for business, personal, et cetera, it's great. Decide up front and then definitely stick with it. Rob said 3-month plan. That's a great way to go about it. Stick with it from the beginning and stay with it. Don't let off, because if you let off, you'll lose people. Flat out.
I'm probably going to be the oddball out on this one. I make a pretty clear distinction between my personal life and my online life, if you will. It probably has a lot more to do with the fact that I'm a gamer, like lifelong gamer, and when your clan name or your clan mates from Counter-Strike want to get together in real life, I'm like, no, dude, I really don't want to meet you in real life. I'm part, and this is just, I feel like I've grown up doing this, right? So I was part of like some StarCraft clan with a bunch of dudes from Korea I never want to meet. I don't even want to know their names. I found out what one of their names was. He started telling me his life story. I'm like, I don't want to know. As far as I'm concerned, you're that green-skinned elf, with the sword. You're not Joey with the marital problems, So I feel like me personally, I've sort of grown up, came of age, always having that dual identity, right? There's an online identity and there's an offline identity. I recognize, though, after the whole Clue Train awakening, if you will, that has to somewhat give way. In other words, it's not a totally fake persona, right? It's not I'm an actor and I'm online and I'm the notorious Rob and I'm a sword-wielding ninja. It's not quite that way. It's much more. There is a line that doesn't get crossed, right? I don't talk about my children on my blog. I don't use Facebook for business, although that's a tough one. I have a lot of people I'm meeting through these types of events who I consider my friends. Should they not be on my Facebook page? Of course they should. So it's a little hard. I could understand people who really don't want that separation, especially in real estate. I just can't go for it. Like I said, I just know too many people I just would rather never meet in real life from not the real estate sector, and that's just carried through for me.
Since we're focusing on it from a business standpoint tonight, I made a pretty clear delineation when I started using all these things, what my business rules were, and because I cannot control my friends and what they share. And I don't want to be the guy telling his friends to shut up or don't post those pictures or whatever. So I do not. So all friend requests from this evening will be deferred to LinkedIn. That's for professional stuff. If we develop a relationship, then we've developed a relationship and it's not a random friend request. And I just like to keep my friends on Facebook and I like to keep my professional relationships on LinkedIn. And I'm not, like a split personality disorder or anything like that. It's what works for me, and I don't want to get all over my friends, it actually came out of seeing my friends posting things, knowing that someone had just friended me. And I started getting agita, thinking, oh, what are they going to think about that? That's a really bad representation of me. That's not about me, but it reflects me because, you are the friends that you keep. I don't want to be in the business of managing that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So whatever it is that works for you, make those decisions on the front end, because once you start removing friends and they go looking for you, they're going to wonder where they went and if they have to re-add themselves. So just think about, what works for you. It's whatever works for you. But for me, it's 2 different buckets.
Okay, great. I think that really just summed it all up. Just try it out, see how it works for you.